Mike Jackson, he's the vice president. Cal Overman is the secretary treasurer. Danico Hellsell. Shay Watkins is our 5th member, and she is at, her son's got basketball games tonight. Obviously, we don't have enough for a quorum, so by our covenants, we're required to give a 30-day notice for a second meeting, which reduces the quorum from 50% to basically 25%. So it has to be done within 30 days, no more than 60 days. Correct, Elliot?
That's right.
So just as, if you haven't seen, just as a rundown of why we're having this to go from 300 to 400, the lawn maintenance alone will eat up everything that we, at 300, will eat up everything and even be a little short. How many didn't see the post on Facebook I made with the actual numbers? Elliot and them got 3 lawn care bids. I've reached out to 8 other contractors and only had 3 show up. Only 2 sent back bids. The general consensus from the contractors were, number 1, they've got labor issues. Number 2, they were very reluctant to stick with a bid without being in growing season because their labor rate has gone from $8 to $10 an hour to anywhere from $15 to $18 an hour for people to mow grass. One of the bids that we had from Top Notch, which was the lowest, he doesn't do weed control, which is something that we will need. It's in part of our covenants that we take care of our yards, our personal yards, through weed control. And he does not offer that. So that's something that I discussed with him. He does not provide that service. He can contract it out, but if he does that, that's going to be an extra expense that we'll have to. Everybody else did bid with weed control. That's why the bids were so high. Top Notch was at $23,400 per year. With the amount of money that we bring in just from our HOA, if we stayed at 300, it was going to be $21,600. So we were already 300 below the lowest bid that we got that did not include any weed control. The least expensive with weed control was $31,960, which is about, I think it was $600 less than if we go to 400 a year. We do have a pretty good healthy balance in reserves from what's been paid in the year and a half that Sky Lake maintained. I do know, and Elliot can confirm this, with Elliot Collins is in the back, he's with Collins and Associates. Sky Lake was paying B&B, and I called them for an estimate. They never showed up. They were only cutting about 1/3 of what is required in the subdivision. None of the common areas down on Pettigrew were included. Between Mike's house and the stuff across the street were the little fenced-in area. They weren't mowing that at all, and they were charging Sky Lake about $485 per cut. Those are the 2 biggest areas in the entire subdivision that weren't even being touched. That's why the cost went from $485 per cut to about $800. This is something that we're going to have to do at some point. If we don't do it this year, and if we don't do it this year, we'll have to do it next year for sure. And we're going to eat into a big point, a part of our reserves is going to be hit. Yes, ma'am.
We were talking about it, and is the $400, is that going to be enough?
It will not be initially. It's still going to be about 900 short that we would have to use out of our reserve funds that we already have in the bank. But just us discussing it as the board, we felt like a $100 increase this first year was, anything over that was too much.
So what the increase, which I'm fine with the increase, I'm just gonna say that. But that the increase, whatever is brought in from that's just gonna cover the lawn?
That will just cover lawn care.
That
So that
would
would include irrigation?
Yes, that does include irrigation, spraying, all of that. All that would be included. Mulching the 2 flower beds up by the signs, trimming shrubs, all that. This was a total package for everything that we need to have done as far as the lawn care service is concerned.
And then we're still gonna be short.
We're still about 800 short of the lowest bid that covers everything. But we just felt like we could eat that difference this first year. Two of the lawn care companies even told me that if the gas gets over $3, it's in their contract, gets over $3 a gallon during the mowing season, there'll be a surcharge. Even on this budget that Elliot's brought us, we are now responsible for the water bill for the irrigation system, which could be $200, $250 a month. That's not even included in our budget. So the $400 it's a 30% increase. It is what it is. But it also could have been and probably should be more. It's going up again next year. There's no way around it. You know, how many of us are paying the same price for something now that we paid this time last year? Whether it's hamburger meat or gas, it doesn't matter. Everything is going up. My biggest concern with the guy that we're using now is he's so much lower than everybody else. He's going to get into June and realize he's losing money, and then we're going to be in trouble. Finding somebody in the middle of the summer to take up a maintenance contract is going to be near impossible. Tony?
How many acres will they actually put?
You know, I would probably say it's probably in the 6 acre range, 6.5. If you
there was a bid 2 months ago at this price, and then in January it doubled. So I don't understand how it went double in 2 months.
Which bid doubled?
Well, there was a bid in November.
Because he did not figure in the area behind your house and the area between Mike's house. There's a 45 feet wide, 380 foot strip between you and Copperleaf. He didn't figure that in. He didn't figure in the area between Mike's house, but behind the pond where the spillway is. He didn't figure that in at all, and that's probably 3 acres of our mowing right there in that one spot. That was not figured in at all. That's the Southern Legacy. That's the guy Dustin talked to.
Showed him that area too.
And he did not figure in that bid. I called him because Dustin sent me that bid, and I called him yesterday. I called him day before yesterday, and we met yesterday morning and rode around. I gave him the plat, and when we turned the corner, I said, starting right here all the way to here. He said, I didn't bid this. And then he come back yesterday with a bid that went from 13 to 29.
You guys are saying it goes.
Yeah, doubled and then some.
I didn't know you didn't have that because I had given
Yeah.
the cow.
But he didn't have the weed control.
And he doesn't have weed control either.
Right.
So there's only a handful of companies that do both. And the two bids we have, the Buena Vista, Frankie's, and Wesley, all do both. They all do irrigation. Obviously, they're all three of the ones at the top and they range from 31.9 with Buena Vista. With Wesley Landscape, it's 43.4, which is insane. But we're kind of at their mercy because of what they're having to pay right now for labor. That doesn't include also, you know, we're basing this on 79 lots at either 300 or 400. That doesn't include the fees that we pay to Collins to manage this for us, which basically takes 13 of those lots away from us annually because their fees are right at $400 a month. So we're basing our budget basically excluding them on 60, 65, or 66 lots. So when in reality, Terry, you're right. We're more than $900 below the bids. With the income we bring in, with everything included, because we're looking at 66 lot. Then if we figure in the water bill at $200 a month for probably 5 months, you know, June, July, August, and September, 4. Then we're looking at we've lost 2 more lots there.
Well, I was just looking at the numbers, and I mean, just even at 400, I mean, it's not coming up. We're still going to be short
For this first year. Yes, ma'am. We're still going to be short. We just felt like that anything over $100 increase this first year was too much. One other thing that Elliot let us know at the last meeting was Skylake had originally agreed to raising it to 400 this year. Before the HOA was turned over to us, they didn't expect to have the home sold at 80%. at 80% until sometime mid this year. So we were going to go, it was going to 400 this year, whether we liked it or not. We would never even got a vote.
No, we would still have.
Not if we're not at HOA yet, we wouldn't have had a vote.
According to the paper,
Would not have had a vote.
we can't change it.
Until it's turned over. to-
Until it's turned over to us, we had no vote. It would have went to 400. So it was going anyway. So when we, based on that information, us as a board decided to go ahead originally and go ahead and pass it. When we got the feedback we got, that's when we decided to go ahead and we needed to bring it to a vote. When we were told that Sky Lake was going to raise it anyway, we basically went along with it because we saw the numbers. But then that big an increase deserves a community-wide vote. In reality, it probably needs to go at some point to 500 with the way the economy's going. It's going to be at 500 at some point. If not, if we go to 400 this year, next January we're paying 500. There's just no way around it. I don't see anything, any cost dropping. Yes, sir.
So is there no way to mitigate that cost? For $30,000, you can buy lawn equipment pretty good to.
That's what I was saying, having community.
That is that's
lawn track and cut it.
That's a problem. In my opinion, homeowners taking care of their own stuff is a problem.
Yeah, I got to ride a lawnmower that I cut.
I don't. That's all well and good in April when it's 75. In July when it's and trust me, I owned a lawn care business in Arkansas for 15 years. In July when it's 105, I'm not sitting on a mower for 4 hours on Saturday.
I don't want to have to be worried about someone actually doing what they're saying they're going to do, and then the neighborhood.
Well, and another issue too with that is just the regular liability. If we do it as an HOA, and let's just say, God forbid, that we hit a rock, and it slings a rock out and breaks a window or hits a kid, then the HOA is responsible for that. It could happen with a lawn care service as well, but then that's part of their liability. Everybody that turns in a bid for any kind of commercial real estate has to have a general liability policy. It's $1 million.
$1 million at least.
$1 million at least.
Well.
You guys may want to. I'm too old to sit on a mower for 5 hours on it after I've been working all day Saturday, all week.
That's a lot of money for 6 acres.
It's the going rate. I get it, but it's the going rate. We of all the bids that we had, all the mowings, the biggest difference in the bids, if you look at them, the biggest difference in the bids was the weed control. All the bids for mowing were $700 to $800. And you think about it, $100 to $125 an acre to mow, with labor, with fuel, with maintenance, with insurance. That's really not much.
It was only 5 months a year.
It's based on 32 mowings. Everybody bases it on 32 mowings, 28 to 32 weekly mowings.
And the lawn care is not just mowing; it's also
No, it's all the edging, weed eating, blowing everything off, mulching the flower beds up front, any kind of trimming that needs to be done, weed control, picking up trash, all that sort of thing.
limbs drop during
Limbs,
the wintertime.
yeah, all that sort of things covered.
So Sky Lake was under it the first year
Yes.
because the lake was horrible all year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what if the pond needs maintenance?
If we have, I'm glad you brought that up. After now that it's the HOAs, if let's just say the levee blows, that's our responsibility. It will come in the form of a what's it called? When something happens that you have to that's not
Special assessment.
special assessment. That's right. It can be a special assessment.
The pond is split between Copperleaf and Arbor Point, if I remember looking at the plat correctly.
It's but it's not much. But based on the plat, it's not much.
Okay.
The median that goes down Arbor Point is the cutoff
Okay.
on the plats. So actually, most of the pond, or if not all the pond, is on us. So any kind of other maintenance that would have to be done, that would cost where we would have to divvy up. It would just be something that, let's just say, for example, it blows in June, and it costs 10 grand. Well, we got to divide up 10 grand by 79 homeowners, and we got to pay it. It's a special assessment. All that's in our covenants. Any questions,
Have their own HOA?
sir?
Copper Leaf side?
They do.
Yeah, well, they don't yet, but.
They don't yet. They won't until it's 80% full.
They're not far away.
They're not. They're not far.
Have that last phase and then turn it over, next year
So
sometime.
do you know what they're gonna do for lawn service?
I do
They are
not.
top notch as well
They're-
right now.
yeah.
They increased their dues to 400 as well with Skylink. So I pretty much try to get it as fair as possible between same dues, same lawn care, and then turn it over to y'all, and y'all get to make the decision going forward.
So they're going to 400 as well.
They didn't have a meeting on that?
They're under Skylink.
They're under Skylake until they get the HOA. So Skylake can do what they want to do until they turn it over to the homeowners.
But they're considered the declarant, is that the technical term?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if the declarant raises it, they have to have a meeting according to the covenant.
There's a section written into the covenant saying that the developer does not have to abide by certain sections of the covenants, and the section it lists is regarding changing the dues for the year.
Any questions? Any feedback? I get it. It's a 30% increase. I get it. But if we're going to continue to have a nice subdivision, which we have now, we have no choice. We have no choice.
Well, everybody wants decor for holidays and all that type of stuff. It's just more money. I mean,
I agree, and that's.
Go 500 right off the bat, just get it over with.
That's been brought up. I mean, we literally right now we have, and we've got a healthy balance because we haven't spent anything. But that is a reserve in case something happens. Number one. Number two, if we want to have some kind of community event for the kids in the neighborhood, if we want to have a back to school party, or we want to have a Super Bowl party, or we want to put up Christmas lights or Halloween decorations, we would have to do that based on donations. And that's not the type. I'll just be honest. It's not the type of place I want to live. We've got a nice neighborhood. We've got great folks that live there. And I those of you who know me, I'm pretty point blank. I don't understand. I'm very disheartened by the turnout for something that's this important that we caught so much backlash over. It's kind of like a school board vote. It's so important. Nobody wants to show up, but everybody wants to complain about it. I don't understand. I get it's $100. Oh, one other thing. The board did decide with Elliot's input, if the extra $100 it really puts somebody in a bind, we'd be willing to let them pay that out over even the whole $400, say over the first quarter, so you're not due January right after Christmas. To where as long as it's paid since we do have a reserve, as long as you get it paid before the end of the first quarter, 1st of April, then there won't be any late fees put on that balance. Again, this is just me being point blank. I don't understand the hubbub over a Big Mac meal a month, because that's basically what it is. It's $8.50 a month to keep our neighborhood looking good. I don't get it. Any feedback?
Is that all that's gonna be done to it? What you see now is what we're gonna do?
No, they are gonna come back and clean some of the underbrush up from where the trees are. The city of Hernando, and I verified this with an alderman, the city of Hernando will not let them take any trees out. That pond, and Chris and I met with Skylake over this very subject. That pond was going to be filled in, and there was going to be houses on it. and the city of Hernando told them no, they had to leave it. They won't let them take any trees out. They are going to clean some of the underbrush up. Now, with that being said, if after Sky Lake's done with copper leaf and we want to go in there and kind of thin them out, get some of the dead stuff out, we as a HOA can do that. So that will be something that's done later. All the guys that I met with on the lawn care, I stressed to them how important it was to keep the area around that pond clean all the way down to the water. Even if it took spraying along the edge to keep some of the weeds down right at the bank if it's too wet to get down there to it. We also, I know there are some homeowners that were having to mow some of the stuff that actually belongs to the HOA before. Dustin, you had to mow some on the end of Peggy Cove were mowing some. I made sure they knew they had to get that stuff while they were in the subdivision, so the homeowners aren't mowing anywhere that the lawn care service should be. That included around that pond, keeping that pond cleaned up, keeping the limbs that blow down off some, there's a lot of dead trees in there, keeping some of the limbs and that sort of thing picked up, and making it look respectable. Also on the walking trail, they were to keep it either edged along the walking trail or treated so that grass didn't go across it. Tried to cover all that I could think of with them.
Well, the main line is the weed control, especially around the pond. They don't need weed control. My son and I went down there a couple times and covered it.
Yeah, it don't. It's not gonna need it. And I think once they get out of there, we'll be able to do some things around that pond that'll clean it up. That they're not technically allowed to due to what they were told by the city. It looks a whole lot better than it did.
They started cleaning it out, and all of a sudden they pushed all the wood back in the center of it, and that, after they got the leave.
That was when you first moved in, right?
Oh, I used to fish that pond. So
Yeah, it looks a whole lot better than it did. When we first moved in, it looked awful. It looked awful. I've also talked to one of the guy that sprays my yard about treating that pond for mosquitoes. It's a pellet they put in. It's not toxic in any way, but it'll help cut down on mosquitoes around the pond. Any other questions?
Is there a problem with splitting up the weed control versus lawn care? I mean, I know we'd rather do it all in one, but if we get a cheap bid for the lawn care and get a decent price for the spray. Everything
I was told by the guys that I talked to, they don't make any money off of the weed control because it is so expensive.
Really?
That if say Del DeSoto Spray is doing it, they charge them $600. They pass the $600 along to us. He said it was so. One of the guys told me, he said that's the reason he don't spray is because chemicals so expensive right now. The top notch guy, that's what he told me.
That makes sense.
He said he's not going to get into spraying because chemicals so much. He even thought about eating the weed control, having it done, and him absorb it because he was already mowing. And when he reached out to a couple of spray companies, he called me back and said he couldn't do it. So that's kind of where we're at now. We'll have to get another letter out. By the way, every time Elliot sends a letter or makes a copy, it costs us money. Plus, we're paying you to be here.
Yeah.
So Elliot will get a letter out. Do we want to try and set a date now? It has to be 30 days, correct?
Well, I have to check with here or
Okay.
the other church. I think this is probably a better location for people to meet in. I think it's kind of tight in the other one. What do y'all think? You think this location's better or the other one? Here? I like this church a lot. They're very good people. So I'm gonna reach out to them and see what days they have open in February, and then I'll reach out to y'all and confirm.
Okay.
And then you'll get a letter in the mail when time, place, all that good stuff.
Well, I suggest it's for everybody to talk to your neighbors, but they're not gonna make the meeting so you can get their prices.
Yeah.
We'll only need 21 next time.
Yeah, we need half.
Yeah.
We only need 21 next go round. I hate we got to push it to another meeting. If it were me, I would vote right now, and we would go with what the folks are here. We'd go with what we want to do. We've only been talking about this for 2 freaking months. 2 months. And now we're going to be behind the 8 ball because everything should have been paid in January.
We do have some payments rolling in since we did bill it. And I sent a letter out to everyone saying that if it wasn't approved, there would be refunds issued. So we do have some money coming in for the new year. And hopefully it does get approved so we don't have to issue any refunds or anything like that. But yeah, just stay tuned. You'll get a letter in the mail for the next meeting sometime in February.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. We've lived in several neighborhoods that had HOAs, but they weren't managed by another company. It was just independent. Let's say the lawn care service, they're not doing the job as they should. Is that gonna be your responsibility to handle, or does it go to them?
It comes to me first.
It's up to you, really.
Yeah,
Either
it
one.
it'll come to me first, and I'm good with that.
Now, what about yards?
All right, so
That's my
that goes
job.
to them.
Yeah,
That goes to Elliot. That's his job. There is a letter that goes out on something like that. There's already been a few sent that goes out for that sort of thing. If you don't know, I hope I'm not sharing too much for you. There is a portal on there. They do have a portal that every homeowner has that you can go and look at your fees and look at the dues and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
On their portal.
Yeah, that's on our, if you go to the website on my business card, keithcollinsco.com, and you'll click the Caliber portal, that you can get logged in that way. You can see governing documents, if you have a violation or not, or if you have any thing to pay. And there's a bunch of other cool stuff on there that you can look at. But it's pretty handy.
We have access to that, that's not extra.
No, that's included in the contract.
I've tried to get on there before and I had trouble.
Well, if you're having trouble getting logged in, it means I probably don't have your email on my end. So contact me. I'll get it punched in on database on our end, and then you should be able to log in. So if you have any trouble getting logged in, just give me a call. Business cards in the back, and I'll be happy to help you out.
Sir.
Hey, I got one question, sir.
Okay.
James Howell, by the way. If we can sign all this afterwards, I respect everyone's time, please let me know, but it's sort of a loaded question. But we've already gone that, if we increase formula this year, it's certainly going to have to increase next year, and we're going to be digging into our retention funds. So, has there already been an evaluation of what our safe sort of buffer needs to be in our retention based off of, X, Y, and Z?
This may be a good question for Elliot.
I recommend normally for a healthy balance in the reserve fund. I recommend about 10% of HOA dues being saved each year, just about. Some people go up to 15%. Some people go up to 20 for like condos, but 10% is what I like to see being stuck in the reserve fund each year. Right now we got 16,000, I think, in the bank right now.
Correct.
I mean, if we do eat in that, it's not going to last forever. So I would say, once we get on top of we can get a black balance, a green balance. It'll be, I would say, about 10% is what I like to look at. Every neighborhood's different though. Some neighbors have pools and they need some more funding towards their reserves. Y'all don't, but it honestly depends on each neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. So what is 10% for us, roughly?
2,500.
What's that?
2,500.
Okay. So if we do dip into our retention year, we won't be.
That's the big reason why we decided to stay at 4 instead of going to 5. Let's face it, we're going to 5. We're going to be at 5 in 2 years. There's no question. Things aren't getting any cheaper. Labor is it's been kicked around now for 2 presidents. Labor's going to $15 an hour minimum wage, regardless of what job it is, or where it's at, or who's got it. That's where it's going. And one of the guys I talked to at Buena Vista, he was really concerned whether he even wanted to give a bid or not because he was concerned about labor. He didn't know if he was going to be able to to find enough labor to cover something other than what he already had. That's why these guys want annual contracts. They don't want to go by the cut. They don't want to go by the spray. They want an annual, so that he can budget for you think about it. If he may only, it rains every week in April. He only gets a cut one time. Well, he can't budget like that. So it's going to go. They're eventually going to go up. I mean, and it was tough for us when we first started kicking this around at the first meeting. That we were going to have an increase, and it could possibly double. I mean, it's legit could double. It was something that we talked about extensively. It wasn't something that we met at my house. It wasn't something we just talked for 10 minutes and said, hey, we got to do this. We kicked this around for almost 3 hours in one night, just trying to determine if we wanted to go up this year, if we wanted, because so many of us have only been here 6 or 8 months, and then bam, we got a $100 increase. So we really had a hard time with it, and then once we got to looking at it and doing the numbers, it was well, we're talking about going to 4, we probably need to go to 5. So it was something that we just decided that we would stay at 400. We would offer the first quarter to pay if it was something that really was a hardship, and then dip into those reserves just for this first year, just to keep it from being a huge increase in the first year. There's some folks that haven't been here but a couple of months, and bam, we're hitting them with a 30% increase. That's tough. That's where we're at. We'll get to this next meeting. We won't have to have the 2021. And then I wish we could vote on it tonight. If you do go ahead and pay and send it in, and you want to, and we do stay at 3, and you want a refund, they'll give it back. I'm sure if you want to leave it and deduct it from next year, we can do that, and make it as easy on as many of the homeowners as we can. But it's a difficult decision, but it's one that's right here in front of us. We got to make. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I'm going to. That's just who I am. If we had to vote tonight, how many would vote yes? Okay. If we had to go to 500, who'd vote yes? Okay. That's where we're going.
Nothing worse than living in a house and taking care of your own place.
I agree 100%.
Your neighborhood and look correct.
I agree 100%.
I mean, that's a good question. I guess for you is, y'all gonna have people run around and inspect lawns,
Yeah, I come by periodically, which is about once a month.
Okay.
And I draw up letters and send them out for people that are in violation. Right now, there's not too many because all the weeds are dormant for the most part. But yeah, I do that each month.
But what about like other violations?
Yeah, if there are other violations. That,
Yes.
If somebody's window's busted, they'd get a letter, something like that. Any that they need paint on the outside of their house. Pretty much anything in the covenants that under the restrictive covenants, I would be able to get them a letter. Yeah.
That's why I didn't know how strict or lenient that you were going by the covenants. Garbage cans, trailers in the front yard.
Trailers, garbage cans for sure. Garbage cans are a little hard to police.
Yeah.
Just because most people don't want to take somebody to court over a garbage can, because that's the ultimate end goal. If somebody's got a trailer in the front yard and they don't want to move it, you're gonna have to take it to court. But it's kind of hard to deal with trash cans. If you can train them early, then yeah, we could do trash cans. We could start doing that too. But it's a little.
I'm just asking because it's in there. So.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
One thing I can say about Collins at our old subdivision in Olive Branch, they were our management company, and I got a letter because my mailbox wasn't black enough. The paint had faded, so I got a nice letter. Paint your mailbox.
Well, you gotta worry about mailboxes.
Yeah, paint your mailbox, or we're gonna have to paint it. Speaking of the mail area, I ordered 2. One of the ladies mentioned on Facebook about it being dark, especially at 4 o'clock. I ordered 2 Motion detecting lights. They're supposed to have shipped last Thursday. I got a thing from Lowe's that they were shipping this Thursday, which is today. They're solar, yes, they're solar, and they'll come on with motion. So that'll light up. I got one for both huts, and they will. As soon as they get in, we'll get down there and get them put up. Something else on that same note: as soon as Copperleaf is finished, some of you may know this, some of you don't. That lot right there, that trailer that's there, will be gone. Skylake has agreed to put in a gazebo on that lot with sidewalks leading to it. That will probably happen, I would probably say sometime in June, when it dries up enough for them to get out there and get all that stuff done. Get that trailer out there and all that, depending on how Copperleaf comes.
Yeah. I know they're all pre-sold. All the lots are pre-sold, but they just have to build them and close on all of them.
Do you know how many empty homes we have in 1 and 2? A couple?
I could look it up.
We've got 79 lots. I don't know how many of them are occupied.
I think most of them
Yeah,
are.
another quick question. I mean, you see me walking all three of my dogs, so I walk them late at night and just walk to the sidewalks. Like on the very front of the street side, you've got a whole section of sidewalk missing, right? And then y'all got some flooding in your area of the street over there. Are these problems gonna be taken care of before Skylight decides to go from our premises?
They have said they will. They have to repave the streets. If you notice, the up against the curb, there's a little lip where the asphalt ends and the curb starts. They're going to pave up to that lip. That should eliminate the street flooding.
But right across the gazebo by the pond, right in front of, right between mine and your house, it's like it keeps on giving away. So
I think
they're constantly refilling in with asphalt, but it just constantly keeps on dipping. It's the same thing with the roundabout.
Yeah, the whole second phase road is just tore off pieces.
Yeah, they'll have to fix that. And then the good thing about this subdivision is that they're city streets. So the city will have to maintain the streets once Skylake pulls out.
we have
We're not private.
We have one vacant house in Arbor Pointe right now.
One.
Yeah.
So we're full. We're just about full.
So will there be streetlights in the second phase?
Yes, there will be. Has anybody's yard got damaged? All right, so they're going to come back. I filed a claim with Energy yesterday on behalf of the subdivision, and they're supposed to come back and they've got till tomorrow at 2 o'clock to call me and get addresses of where what needs to be fixed. I know they hadn't hit phase 2 yet, but once they get there with them poles, they're gonna tear your stuff up.
Would it be easier to make a post on the group and have people comment their address and what's
Yes,
wrong?
I've already got 3. I got 3 I know that I've got to get fixed.
I have a question on that. The drilling that's being done up underneath driveways and everything, is that
It is. I think AT&T is this. Comcast. Comcast is the one going in now. Yeah, Comcast is the one going in now. Yes.
We finally got our front yard looking halfway decent, and then they came and it wasn't even going under our driveway, but they drove the thing in our driveway and twisted around and drove straight across the middle.
Right.
Yeah. We have big ruts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's with Comcast, you'll have to. They hit our water line too.
It was about $2,000 that they've already reimbursed us for it, so Comcast has screwed stuff up, called.
Yeah, if it's Comcast, I have not talked to Comcast. I have talked to Energy, because they were pretty specific. There's so many people been out doing the boring. I don't know who it is. I know who put the light poles up. So I contacted Energy yesterday. They had 48 hours to get back with me. So. Like I said, I filed a claim on behalf of the subdivision. Who knows with the weather like it is when they'll be back out to fix it, but the lady on the phone assured me that their contractors are to fix that stuff. If they don't, we report back, and it's Energy will fix it, and they have to carry a policy with Energy that reimburses Energy for the repairs they have to make.
I know this is a side note, y'all were talking about streets. Memphis Street is on the list for the city of Fernando to get paved this year,
Awesome.
just so everybody knows.
I also heard they're gonna try and widen it by 10 feet.
They're
I don't know where
gonna
they're gonna
try
widen it at.
Sections, yeah.
Ain't much of
They don't have the
There's
money
not.
to widen it.
There's not.
Well, they have a narrow
But there will be lights in phase 2 soon. It's all hinging on the weather right now. I don't know about y'all, but I don't wanna put a street light up tomorrow. It's gonna be 15,
Is it really gonna go?
17 tonight. Yep. All right, any other questions? Concerns? Is there anything the board needs to work on for anybody?
Get more people to show up.
Everybody has my number. I'll give it to you if you don't. If you're ready, you got a pen? 901-494-2134. That's Chris's phone. If I don't answer, I promise I'll call you back. Leave me a message, shoot me a text. I'll call you back as soon as I can. Anybody want to trade places with me?
That's another thing you can touch on too, the fact that you're given so much of your free time.
Well,
and then
it's,
all the crap.
you know, when I got nominated, I'll just be honest with you guys. When I got nominated, I almost said no. But I felt like if somebody thought enough of me to nominate me, I at least need to give it a shot. And it's in 2 months in, there's nights I want to jump off a bridge. But it's going to be okay. If we don't have any other questions, we will see. Elliot will check on the date. We'll have another meeting. And if you sane folks show up, we'll have enough to vote. Bring your neighbor.
You don't even bring your neighbor, just bring a proxy.
Bring a proxy, correct. There'll be a proxy on the bottom of the next letter, just like there was this one.
It has to be how long from today?
30 days.
30 to 60.
30 to 60. No more, no less than 30, no more than 60. I may be stepping out of bounds, but I'm just going to say this. If you're okay with the increase, I'd encourage you to go ahead and pay it. Go ahead and pay it. If you need the refund, we don't, you need, and you want the refund, or you want to carry it to next year, we can do whatever, but I would encourage you to go ahead and get it done.
I know something there says about paying monthly, that's up to the board.
Yes, that's what we agreed to do for the first quarter.
Just the first quarter.
First quarter.
Is that gonna be for this year only?
It will depend. That will be up to the next board. By the way, that vote happens on January 10th, according to our covenants, or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think it says like 10 a.m.
Yeah, it's weird on the covenants.
Nobody's going to show up at 10 a.m. on Monday.
But that vote will happen sometime later in the year. Unless y'all give us a hard time, we all quit. I'm just kidding. Anything else? Questions? I guess we're good.
All right.
Thank y'all for coming. I appreciate your time.
If y'all have any questions for me, I'll be waiting around for a little bit as well.